Ground ball up the middle. This should do it. Around third. Here comes Tovar. Ball game over. Bernabel has won it. The Rockies 4, the Dodgers 3. The 10-game losing streak is history.
Yeah, baby. How much fun was that? Warming Bernabel comes through. The Rockies walk off the Dodgers. They snap a 10-game losing streak to L.A. 7 straight games they had lost at Coors Field to Los Angeles, and everybody got to shake hands and jump on one another. And it's so much fun to see this group of young guys excited and winning baseball games. That's right. The Rockies have won 6 out of 7. More on that in a moment. Want to thank my sponsors as always. You can see them on the screen right in front of you. Huntington Bank, they're terrific. They're right next to you, man. I guarantee you they have a branch in your neighborhood. Check them out. You're going to like what you get from Huntington Bank because they care about you and they're there to help you out, make life easier, make banking that much easier. And that's why we're presented by Huntington Bank, where banking just clicks. Try asterisk-free checking with no monthly maintenance fee, no matter what. Colorado, it's your money, so keep more of it. Make the switch today at huntington.com/yourmoney. That's Huntington Bank. And also Steel. Always talk to you about Steel products, and they have so many things. Mowers, a lot of grass to be cut. Blowers. I don't want to talk about fall yet because I'm still immersed in summer. But the blowers that I have a couple of them. You can utilize them in every season to clear debris from the driveway, snow in the winter, leaves in the fall. You get the picture. They have trimmers. They have all kinds of stuff. Steel, S-T-I-H-L. SteelUSA.com is where you go shopping, and then you can pick it up at your nearest Steel dealer. And there's more than 10,000 around the country. SteelDealers.com. So big thanks to Huntington Bank and Steel. All right, let's get rolling. We keep on the theme of the Rockies, and it's really nice, as they've won 6 out of 7, to be able to talk about the Rockies in this obviously dismal year from a record standpoint, but talk about them positively and talk about them not just positive in the immediate what's happened in the last week, but looking forward where you can see the proverbial light at the end of the tunnel and some pieces starting to emerge where you go, okay, they can be part of a winning team. And that's how I always look at it. I've said this before on the podcast. I've probably said it on television before, that it's not just saying, hey, is this guy a big leaguer? But can he be an impactful piece on a winning team, a first division team, a contending team, however you want to characterize it? That's what you need. Not just merely guys who are, they don't belong in AAA, they belong in the big leagues, but, they're not together good enough to be an above 500 team, to be a team that we're talking about in late August and September as a contender. That's what it's all about for me. That's what it's all about for you as a fan. And that's what the organization is striving to get to. And we know it's been a long run. We know how painful the last few years have been. It's not just this year. A couple of notes. The Rockies, as we tape this on a Tuesday early afternoon, are a game under 500 in the second half. They're 14-15 in the second half. And I know that's not going to get, New York City jumping up and down about their Mets or their Yankees, teams with really high expectations. The Dodgers, by the way, have a poorer record in the second half than the Rockies. Isn't that amazing? So I get that, but you have to make incremental progress. The Rockies are playing the second toughest schedule in the second half in the National League by win percentage of their opponents. So the fact that they've basically been a 500 team against a really difficult schedule, I think is impressive when you consider what the first half looked like. I mean, it's really impressive. And also when you couple that with the fact that the starting pitching has not been good. I'm not trying to pile on those guys, but as of a couple of days ago, the rotation in the second half had an 8+ ERA, which they'd be the first to tell you is abysmal. And yet somehow the Rockies are finding ways to win. And yes, we've seen LoDo Magic on display. That is one of my favorite terms. And for those that have been around following the Rockies for years, you say, man, I have great thoughts and images of LoDo Magic from seasons gone by, 17 and 18, when the Rockies made the postseason, and all the way back during that run in 07, naturally, and again in 2009. You have so many great memories of being at Coors Field, where it looked like the Rockies were out of it, and they come storming back in the late innings and turn an insured loss into ultimately a victory. Well, they've been doing that again lately. They had 3 great wins against a very solid Arizona Diamondback team who still were harboring hopes of, getting into the wild card picture. They were in the picture, but, maybe going on a run. And so it's not like Arizona was just, playing out the schedule. It wasn't the Rockies, beating the Washington Nationals, who are not having a good year. Same thing with St. Louis. St. Louis, though they don't have a sexy roster, they were above 500, and they were on the cusp of the playoff picture right there. And the Rockies won 2 of 3 on the road in St. Louis. So they're beating good teams. And in the case of the Arizona series, they keep coming from behind. And they now have the most wins trailing by 5 or more runs in baseball this year. And I know the cynic will tell you, boy, they've had a lot of opportunity. You're damn right. They have had a lot of opportunity. But give them some credit, because lately, this young nucleus, and we're going to talk to a big part of that young nucleus coming up in a little bit in Kyle Karros, they're getting it done. And they have, because I'm there every day. I see it. I feel it. There's an energy. There's an excitement. There's an enthusiasm to this club that completely and utterly belies their record. Most people would assume that a team that on, what are we at, August 19th has already lost 88, 89 games. I think it's 89. It must be miserable. It must be like a funeral procession. It's not. It's not at all. And I think it's important that most days when the Rockies roll out their lineup, Mickey Moniak, who just turned 27 recently, is the oldest guy in the lineup. Tovar's in his 3rd year, right? We know how talented he is. He's 24, just turned 24. The center fielders won 2 Gold Gloves, having a great second half. Brenton Doyle. Brenton's 27. Warming Bernabel, 23. Ryan Ritter's, 23, 24. Karros, who just came up, 23. I mean, Hunter Goodman's 25. He's an all-star already. He's a budding star. He's going to hit 30-plus home runs as a catcher. So this group, it's not, well, there's a couple of young guys sprinkled in. There's still a bunch of, older guys who are never going to be part of the solution. When you watch the Rockies right now, you can look at a bunch of guys and say, yeah, they're already kind of doing it at a nice level, and they're only going to get better, one would assume. They can be part of the next winning Rockies team, and hopefully it's, despite the miserable record, hopefully it's not far away. Now, you need pitching on that side. Bullpen's been really good lately, by the way, and they're going to have a hiccup here because they're being overutilized. 4+ innings virtually every night. The Rockies need starting pitching. They always need starting pitching. That's going to be a huge part of taking that next step, because the sport will always be about pitching. And that's why starters make more than relievers, because they pitch, in theory, longer than relievers. But it's been exciting to go to the ballpark. And if you've been out at Coors Field, if you've allowed yourself to go and enjoy it and not pay attention to the record and say, hey, let me give this new version under Warren Schaefer a chance, I guarantee you've come away with a raised eyebrow saying, hey, not bad, pretty impressive. They never say die. It's a fun brand of baseball too. They're taking the extra base. Going to talk to Kyle Karros about, Karros going 1st to 3rd on Monday night as the Rockies knocked off the hated Dodgers. And they're getting the ball in play. And I can't overstate this. And I talk about it on the Tube with Spilly and Huey and Sully all the time. And that is the Rockies have the highest strikeout rate in baseball, and it's been that way the last couple of years. Not hitting a ton of homers. That is a recipe for offensive disaster or, ineptitude. And it's turning around in front of our eyes. And a big reason is some of these guys they brought up. Kyle Karros, low punch-out rate throughout the minor leagues. He's had, again, small sample size, a low punch-out rate at the big league level, and he walks. Warming Bernabel, aggressive hitter, but he doesn't strike out. Didn't strike out in his minor league career. And it's rubbing off on other guys. Tyler Freeman, who missed the first month or so of the season with an oblique. Since he's come on, he's been great. One of the lowest strikeout rates, one of the lowest whiff percentages in all of baseball. So now you got 3 guys in the lineup every day. And as I said, it's starting to rub off on other guys. Better at bats, lower strikeout rate. Get this. Last night, the Rockies come from behind, down 2-0, and they beat the Dodgers 4-3. The Rockies pitching staff struck out a dozen Dodgers. The Dodgers pitching staff with Yamamoto, who's nasty with that splitter, they struck out only 6 Rockies. The last time that the Rockies had more pitching strikeouts against the Dodgers than the Dodgers had against the Rockies was 15 games ago. It just never happens. Dodgers have elite pitching. Rockies swing and miss more than any team in baseball. Well, last night, it wasn't like, it was 8-7. It was 12-6. And against a top-flight major league starter, one of the top pitchers in baseball in Yamamoto. And the record may not suggest it, but the numbers do. The ERA, the OPS against, third best in the National League coming in yesterday, below 600 for Yamamoto. And he punches tickets more than a strikeout per inning pitch. And the Rockies fanned only 6 times on the whole evening. And conversely, with the Hall of Famers up and down that lineup with Ohtani and Betts and Freeman, the Rockies compiled 12 strikeouts. So, there's kind of a metamorphosis taking place in front of you. And in large measure, to getting the ball in play and taking some more walks, it's being led by the young guys, being led by Bernabel, who's not even been up a month, Karros, who's not even been up a couple of weeks. So it's been really, really fun to watch. Really fun to watch. And the Rockies have won 4 in a row as we tape, and 6 out of 7. And they're putting together so far a really solid second half against a very demanding schedule. I go back also because it was only, 2 weeks ago that the Rockies at home against Toronto gave up, 1 million runs. They gave up 63 hits, which set a 3-game record for most hits by a team in a 3-game series, not by 1 or 2, by 9. And yet, they put that behind them. Toronto's a good team, but they put that behind them, and they keep playing, and they keep showing up. And as I said, if you were around that clubhouse, if you were around this young group of guys, you would not think, oh yeah, they have the worst record in baseball, and they are, and hopefully they don't get there, and I don't think they will now, but the conversation around this club for months has been, are they going to break the White Sox record from just a year ago with the most losses in the modern history? But if you're around this group, if you watch this group, if you watch them play even on the tube, you can see, man, there's a great enthusiasm, there's a great esprit de corps. And I'm going to talk to Kyle Karros about this, about being that group that turns this thing around. So, I'm excited because it's been fun the last week, but I'm excited about some of the components. Do they need a lot more? We know that. And especially as I said, on the pitching side, they need a lot more. Let's get to that interview with Kyle Karros. I think you're going to enjoy it. He's an introspective young guy who grew up in the game because of his father, who had an extraordinary career in Major League Baseball, most notably with the Dodgers. hit well over 200 home runs in his career. I mean, he has great numbers. Look at his baseball reference page. And Kyle is off to a fabulous start. His brother's in the Dodger organization, interestingly, as a pitcher. We're going to reference him during the conversation. But Kyle's a smart, talented, confident young player who's making his mark in his first few days in the big leagues. So enjoy. Kyle Karros, third baseman for the Colorado Rockies. All right, Kyle, we're taping on a Tuesday morning, and pretty good night last night for the Rock Show. Pretty good night for Kyle Karros also against a team, if I recollect, your old man played for, right? So it's pretty good 24 hours, huh?
Yeah, that was a fun one. I was saying like that game felt like, I mean, it got me going even more than like my debut itself, to play against those guys, just because that's the team I grew up watching. A lot of the guys I grew up, like those were the superstars I was, following when I was a little guy. So that was a really cool day, and really even better to come out on top.
A lot of guys were asked, Warren Schaefer included, after the game, it's the vaunted Dodgers, and they've always been up here. And unfortunately, the last several years, the Rockies have been on the opposite end of the spectrum. Did it mean more? And as an athlete and as a competitor, I get it. They say, no, we want to beat everybody we play. But it sounds like it meant a little bit more to Kyle Karros. Yeah,
and it definitely did. That's always going to be a team that kind of means a little bit more to, like, I always going to have a chip on my shoulder playing against them, just because of what my dad did with them over there. So it was definitely a sweet game. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's just sick. Now we've won 4 straight. I mean, we're playing good baseball. At the end of the day, that's the most important thing. But for it to be against the Dodgers was definitely cool.
You know what? I'm going to jump around a little bit, because I read this somewhere that when you were coming out of UCLA, you were going through the interview process with various teams. The Rockies, after your meeting, correct me if I'm wrong, you told your dad or your parents that, that's the team I hope drafts me. Can you kind of elaborate on that?
Yeah. I went to the combine at Chase Field, and I had interviews with a lot of teams, and I just remember the whole process was like, there were so many teams that were so analytical and like getting on me for stats, crunching numbers, like coming at me. Like it was a weird process. And I just remember meeting with the Rockies. It was like, there wasn't a bunch of like analytics people in there. I think it was four guys in there. Just a super like genuine conversation. Talked a lot about baseball, talked a lot about life, like talked a lot about me off the field. It just felt like the most like human interaction. And I mean, that goes a long way with me. And I was like, I felt super comfortable in there with them. And I was like, yeah, I texted my dad. I was like, that was the best interview I've had. Like, if that's how they're going to treat me while I'm playing for them, I want to go there.
Interesting. And tell me about the UCLA days. And was there a chip on your shoulder? I know, you had some injuries and stuff, but, at UCLA, and obviously you have a great deal of confidence and a great deal of talent, and you slip, if you will. I don't know if that's the right characterization, but you go in the 5th round. Yeah. What was your mindset, and what did it mean to you?
No doubt. That's been in my mind the entire time coming up through pro ball. I always knew like I was better than a 5th round pick. I just knew what I was capable of. I missed a ton of time my junior year, and after coming back, I kind of rushed back from an ankle injury. Just wasn't the same. So that was definitely, in the back of my mind coming up through the minor leagues. I knew I was going to have to show up here and ball out. Like you get a lot more leeway being a higher pick. You get just more time, more opportunity. So I knew I was going to have to come out of the gates and play like I knew I was capable of playing. So that's exactly what happened. But like I said, like looking back on it, and this has happened with, I mean, even I missed some time this year. I always say, like, in the moment, I always am like, damn, like I'm hurt, like whatever, like why is this happening to me? And after it's happened a bunch, like I've realized like it all happens for a reason. I don't know if I would have ended up with the Rockies if I didn't slip to the 5th round. And like I said, I wouldn't change where I'm at now for anything. So looking back on how college went, I wouldn't change a thing. In the moment, I'm like, why is this happening? I'm losing so much money. Like I need to be playing, like all that stuff. But I definitely have the perspective now that everything happens for a reason. Like I said, it got me to the spot I am now, and I'm super grateful for it.
Did your dad, and obviously it's so easy to allude always to your dad, but it may be your mom, it may be somebody, you know, a coach, a high school coach, even Amir Acosta. Was there someone who said, hey, it's going to work out, all right? Don't worry about, and don't even worry about the money now, because if you reach your talent level, your ceiling, all that shit will take care of itself.
Yeah, I think my dad has always had a ton of confidence in me, and that it means a lot, like coming from him, because I know you sometimes think it's just because he's my dad, like he believes in his son, like obviously, but I did feel like it was something more than that, and like he genuinely did believe in my ability, and he would tell me stuff. I remember he would always joke. I would take BP at like a local high school field, and I like couldn't hit it out like until I was like 12, and I would always take BP, and I'm like, I'm never gonna hit it out of here. I'm never gonna hit it out of here. And he would always tell me, like, trust me, dude, you're going to be hitting it out of here. And now he constantly refers back to that when I have any doubts. And I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to get called up. I don't know if I'm going to get called up. Like, I don't know where I'm going to get drafted. Like, all that stuff. He would always kind of refer back to, dude, remember what I told you about the high school field? Like, you're going to be hitting home runs there. You're going to be fine. So his belief in me has definitely allowed me to have confidence in myself. And then about trusting the path, I think that probably has come more from my mom, just more like, you know, trusting God, trusting his plan, all that stuff, just having unwavering faith in that and trusting that any setback, like it's part of the play.
Was there a seminal moment in the minor leagues? Not like you were there very long. I mean, you had a quick rise through the system to arrive in Denver. Well, initially you arrived in Phoenix with playing Arizona, but was there a moment where you said, you know what? I know I'm going to make it. I know I can get there. Or maybe you just had it all along.
Yeah, no, I think this past spring training was huge for me. I think playing in big league games, just playing with guys, I saw myself with them. I saw myself take ground balls with them. I saw myself take BP with them. And I really did feel like I belonged. And then even in game, like I had a lot of success in big league camp against some legit arms, and then you throw in a lot of rehab assignment pitchers that I faced in the Eastern League, and I was facing some legit dudes and seeing them well, taking good at bats. I think my numbers off of those guys were probably better than my numbers off of I don't know if I locked in for more for those at bats or what the deal was, but definitely seeing myself compete with and against big leaguers and realizing like I can hold my own here. That's when I was like, all right, it's going to happen. It's only a matter of when.
Yeah. When you got that first at bat, and I will say this, I've said this a bunch on television about you, that I think I even said it last night, Kyle, and I've been fortunate enough to do this for a long time, and I've seen a lot of guys make their debut and a lot of guys who were celebrated minor leaguers and celebrated prospects, and some pan out, and this is such a brutally hard game, as you would know. Not all do, but there's a calmness to your approach, even when you spit on a pitch. Your takes are calm. And take us through what was going on underneath when you stepped in the box down in Phoenix for your first major league at bat, and obviously it turned out beautifully.
Yeah,
great respect for those umpires, but that is a base hit the other way for Karros, and he may get a ribby out of it. Here comes Bernabel, throw to the plate, not in time. What a debut. Kyle Karros, a run-scoring single, and he's batting 1,000.
I got goosebumps. I mean, think about a couple of the pitches, the hugs. Yeah.
No, I mean the takes do mean a lot. Like once I saw a couple pitches from Gallen, I mean, I didn't know what to expect when stepping in that box. I was like, all right, like I hear about all this, like it's crazy up here. I hear about how much better these pitchers are, all that. After I saw like one or two pitches from Gallen, and he's a dude up here. I was like, all right, like I've seen balls coming at me my whole life. Like it's not much different. So definitely like once I saw some pitches, I was like, it was just even more reassurance. Like, don't blow this out of proportion. Like, you've been taking at bats your whole life. And then I got to that kind of headspace where like it didn't feel super foreign. If I felt really comfortable in that box.
Yeah, I mean, it looked comfortable, and the result was terrific. And as you round first base, you get the first knock out of the way. It drives in your first, ribby. All those things. Your family's going bonkers. Family and friends up in the suite. Do you remember your first thought?
My first thought.
I mean, it was like, holy shit, they can't ever take it away. I have a big league hit.
Yeah, I think that's been a lot of it. I think that's what's so different about being in the big leagues. And I remember being most apparent after our first win up here. It was like no one can say shit about this. Like there's always been that in my head. Like even like any success I have or any wins I have, it's always been in my head and like I'm sure in other people's head. Like, yeah, but this is just college, or yeah, but this is just high A. Yeah, but this is just double A. But then like the satisfaction of doing it up here, it's like, what can people say? Like, there's nowhere else to go. Like, if we're winning games up in the big leagues, like, there's no buts. It's the big leagues, and we're doing it.
Yeah, I know you've told this story before, but for me, at least, it bears repeating because it's a beautiful story. I have 3 boys, and they all played, and I love them more than anything in the world. And when you got to the dugout, and this is modern baseball, you're looking at the iPad. If you would take us through that again.
Yeah.
You've told it a few times.
So I always go and look over my at bats, just because that started in AAA. We have that iPad in the dugout. So I started looking at bats. So after my first one, I go in there also just to try to keep my mind like off of the game, like just keep my mind like occupied. I'm going and rewatching it. And there's different angles you can watch on the iPads. And I clicked broadcast when I should have just went like center field cam or something with like just a normal baseball video. But of course I clicked broadcast, and like I think I was watching more of the suite than my actual at bat because that's what the broadcast was on. And then I see it pan to my parents after the hit, and I just see them all losing it. They're crying. My mom and dad kissed. It was just like, it was so emotional for me, like seeing them like so happy for me. So I started crying in the dugout, and I had to get myself together because I'm in the middle of the game. And like I'm about to go take the field, and I'm teary eyed. So I had to pull myself back together. But that was a lot for me, just seeing them. And like I'll say, like my mom and dad, like they're not super affectionate, like they're great parents and everything, but like as far as them, like I don't see them do that often. So to see that, like while I'm in the dugout, I start losing it. But it's a great story. I got myself back together and played the rest of the game, but it was an emotional day for sure.
And played well. I always think this too about the game. We always focus in on the first at bat, and I also think about, hey, yeah, and you have a great reputation defensively, but guess what? First ground ball, you're like, don't F it up, man, right? I mean, what's going through your mind?
No doubt.
Happened quick enough that you could just react and
I think I lucked out. I lucked out there too, because my first like actual like being involved in a play defensively was just Beck throwing in a ball from left, and he kind of short hopped me, and of course like first time I'm touching a ball, like I mess it up, like it bounces off me, like it didn't cost us anything, but like I got the first like awkward defense out of the way, so then I could breathe, and then I got a ground ball, and I'm sure it didn't look great, but I smothered it and got it over to first. But it's all like all the firsts definitely are like you can breathe now, and to get the first like defensive thing out of the way and in like a spot where it didn't affect anything was kind of nice.
Yeah, I want to take you back also because again, a lot of this hits home for me in that you've referenced your dad, and I've talked to your dad. In fact, he and I've done some Fox games together way back, a million years ago, and I remember. you mentioning him throwing BP, and I've talked to him about throwing BP to you. He's probably throwing 6 million pitches to you and your brother. And I know that it can get tense in there. I remember with my boys, it can get tense, frustration, especially when you're younger, maybe not as mature, expectations from dad, all of those things. How many, crazy moments were there in the cage with your dad where you're basically, not quite FUing each other, but close?
No, we were FUing each other. That was like honestly a really interesting thing to navigate. Obviously, like growing up, like I didn't really have the head on my shoulders I do now. So like I would just, like, he was my coach. Like I'd listen to him, we'd fight, like all that stuff. And then probably last season, when I was in high A, they came out to I had an unreal setup my first year in professional baseball. My parents had bought a vacation home in Coeur d'Alene, which is 30 minutes from our stadium in Spokane. So I'm living there and having an unreal time, enjoying life, enjoying baseball, all of it. And then my parents came out for a week, and I'm like, I mean, this should be like the best week ever. And it was not. I played horribly. Didn't have a good time with them at all. And then they leave, and I'm thinking to myself, like, something's up. Like that should have been the best week of the season. Like, and it was not. And so I just felt like at that time, it felt like my dad was way too much like a coach and not like my dad. So it felt like I would go to the field and I was coming home with like a scout or a cross checker or a coach, and I couldn't escape like the baseball side of things. And that was what was so good about my setup my first year, is like, no matter what happened at the field, good, bad, and different, I could go home and I would escape and be in a great headspace showing up to the yard tomorrow. And I couldn't do that. And I had a call with him, both my parents, and my mom's not at fault, but she's guilty by association, just because like, and I told my dad, I was like, at this point in my life, like I don't need you to be my baseball coach. I need you to be my dad. Like, that's it. And since then, it's been great. He's been really good about it. I mean, he loves baseball, and I still give him the opportunities to talk baseball because I know how much it means to him. I know how much he enjoys it, but it always has to come from me now. It can't be him calling me out of the blue and asking me about swings and stuff, like that ship has sailed. Like I said, it's more important for him to just be a normal, like, he can call me out of the blue and ask me how my day went and ask me what's going on in my life. Absolutely. I'll have that call with him all day, but asking me what pitches I was looking for in this count or what my approach was, that those days are done. I still lean on him for a lot. Like, especially like just this way of life, because he's done it. But as far as the everyday, like that getting in the way of our relationship, that had to stop, because it was a lot of, it was taking a toll on our relationship. And for me, that wasn't worth it.
Yeah. And you're obviously a super bright guy, and this is the dad of me coming out. It's born out of love. It's born out of love and born out of knowledge, because obviously your dad was a tremendous, he was the elite of the elite. So it's born out of the knowledge. It's also at its foundation, it's born out of how much he cares about you.
Mm-hmm. I know that, but it still is. It's an interesting one to navigate, but I do feel like we're in a better spot now.
Your brother, who's a pitcher, probably has it easier, because the only thing he knows about pitching is he didn't like him, right?
Yeah, no, I always joke like that's why he pitches. It's because he couldn't handle the constant one-on-one coaching sessions with my dad. So he's like, screw it, this guy doesn't know how to talk about pitching. But sure enough, my dad's like learning pitching now and like trying to get every bit of information he can from like the Dodgers on pitching stuff, and then try to give. And he can't help himself. Like, he loves the game and he loves us, so he wants to like merge the two. But like I said, the best way for us to do it is just to have him be a dad.
Do you have a lot of recollection of him playing?
No, I got like none of it.
Okay.
I think I was 2 when he retired.
I assume you've watched videos and
Yeah.
that sort of thing.
Yeah,
That wasn't like Saturday night movie night growing up, was it? All right, kids, gather around.
No, but
We're gonna put on the Dodgers and the Padres from 1990.
Something happened. It was sometime when I was in AA this year. My dad texted me a video, and this was another thing. Like he still slips up, like I've said, and gets baseball with me. And he sent me a video of him hitting, and he put in a group chat, me, my brother, and my dad. And he sent a video of him hitting like a home run or something, and he was trying to like critique like his swing and like tell me what to do. And one, like that's no more. Like, Dad, like you can't do that unsolicited. If I ask, fine, whatever. But my brother, this was great. My brother sent a video of my dad like just like sorting a swing and getting punched out by Randy Johnson. Like that was all. It was my dad like sending a highlight and then like a rundown on the swing. And then my brother just went, you know what, Dad, I got this in my back pocket. It went Randy Johnson strikeout. So that was sick. But yeah, I've seen videos of him play. He enjoys doing that. Like I said, I still give him his opportunities to show me how great of a baseball player he was. But
yeah, your dad shared with me. He called his attorney, and he took a certain percentage away from your brother after that video. I said, Will. So we're gonna lower the percentage right here.
That was great.
You know what I've been talking a lot about with Spilly and Sully and Jeff Houston on the air, and it's been, I mean, first of all, you guys are playing a fun brand of baseball. But I really believe that warming Bernabel, yourself, adding you two to Tyler Freeman and his approach, and I think you know where I'm going with this. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, and I don't know how much you could follow from afar in the first half of the season, but the strikeout rate way the hell too high. And now we're watching you guys nightly. You put the ball in play, you grind out at bats, you draw walks, and a lot of it is two guys who collectively have been in the big leagues for about a month in you and Warming. Is that just in your DNA, or has this been a conscious thing talked about organizationally, talked about when you arrived and first sat down with Warren Schaefer?
I think that's been a thing of mine and his for our entire careers, like coming up through the minors. It's just been an emphasis for me, at least, just like the on base thing. I think I really think I can on base like at a super high clip in this league. I think I'm naturally going to slug because I'm going to hit for a high average. And then I think that's only going to grow as I get older, get more experience. But as far as on base goes right now, I think there's no reason I'm not like a top on base guy in this league. And I think it really helps this lineup to throw a couple guys in there like that, just because even like yesterday, like a guy like Yamamoto, like there's certain pitchers where if you watch, like, I don't think I looked at my at-bats, at least there was not a single pitch to hit last night. And that's kind of how he pitches. And if the whole team's going out there trying to hit him, it's going to be a tough night. Just because he's so talented, he's going to land everything on that bottom rail. So for me, it's like I wasn't going to go up there and just swing. Like I couldn't like that. My approach was I need to get something up. Like I'm looking for something up, and he didn't throw a single pitch up. So, I took 2 walks. One of them jump started a rally. And I think that's how you get to guys like that. And it helps to have some of those guys in the lineup. Just because there'll be guys who are planting a lot of pitches to hit, and, our free swingers are guys who barrel up the ball. Like they're going to have a good night. But on a night like last night, there's different ways to win ball games. And I think it definitely helps to have more guys in the lineup who are going to work counts, get to him, and, find a way on base.
You guys are the new guys, obviously, but it's not like the other guys that you're going to take the field with here in several hours are, these grizzled veterans with, gray in their beard. I mean, the oldest guy most of the time in your lineup is Mickey Moniak, who just turned 27. Yeah. So you're all in this group together. from Tovar and Doyle. Have you talked about, do you allow yourselves to talk about, hey, we understand where this club is and really where it's been the last few years, unfortunately, say, we're going to get this thing turned around?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, is that a conversation, or is it just kind of implied by how you go about your business?
I think a lot of it is implied, but I think also Shafe has done a great job with it. I know my first day here, he had the team together and he just said, like, we are one of the youngest teams in the league. And we need to use that to our advantage. We need to play harder than everyone because we can, where our bodies can take it. We need to play harder than everyone. We need to play more aggressive than everyone. And that really stuck with me. Like, even like I think he brought up like a Bernabel play where he like made a diving play and he went for it. He made a throw. I think he threw it away in Arizona, but like, he was like, there's no issue with that. Like, we're going to make mistakes. We're young. But we need to go for it. Like, we need to be aggressive. And that's rung true to me the entire time. Is like, even last night, like the first to third base running play, like those are plays that we need to be making. Just because like you said, we don't have the grizzled vets who are going to go out there and hit 40 home runs every year and just put up insane numbers, but we can play harder than anyone. And we can be more aggressive than anyone. And we can play more as a team than anyone. Like those are things we can control. And that's what we need to do rolling out such a young lineup. And I think that's only going to continue to build as this season progresses and then even into seasons to come.
Yeah, as soon as you were talking about that, I was thinking about your play last night. First of all, it was a hell of a read because you know how cavernous you're learning, but you know how cavernous that outfield is. You watch his field on television, and you made the decision, he's not going to catch that baseball, and I'm getting the third. And if Teoscar comes up with it, Teoscar has a plus arm, but it was a gritty, gutty play that led to you guys scoring, which was awesome.
I just think we're in a spot like we're not gonna beat teams if we're just like stepping off the gas and just kind of playing baseball like in a calm way. Like we're not like we don't have that the personnel like the Dodgers have, obviously, but we can beat teams by playing harder, playing more aggressive, taking more risks. Like that's where we need to be as a team.
Yeah, that was a blast to watch. What was you said something earlier? It kind of struck a chord with me. I mean, when you're winning, whether it's growing up in high school, your travel ball, you're winning at UCLA through the minor leagues, but this, you can't get called up from this league, right? The last guy I thought who should have gotten called up was, two, Ohtani and Bonds probably should get called up to the next league. But honestly, I find it thrilling to watch from where I sit, to see young men get so excited despite the record, 4-3 walk-off over the Dodgers. You guys have won 6 out of 7. And it's like genuine and youthful excitement, isn't it?
Yeah. No, I was saying the same thing the other night. I think it was after Doyle hit a double. I don't know if it was to tie it or to take I don't know. I don't quite remember, but I was on base. And then the next, who got the hit? I forget who got the hit, but then I scored and Doyle came in right behind me. And like Doyle's pretty to himself. And we haven't had a ton of interaction yet. Like I'm new here. Like he's more to himself. I'm more to myself. Like there hasn't been a ton. And then we're getting juiced up at home plate and in the dugout. And honestly, I think that's made our relationship better. Like I think like we talk more now. We have a better relationship now, and it's being in it with these guys and seeing them get juiced up. Like seeing guys grind out at bats, seeing pitchers like show a little emotion on the mound. Like it goes a long way, because we all know where we're at in the season. Like it's not a great season, but like we've got another month and a couple weeks to go. Like we're going to make the most of it. We're going to have fun. We're going to build this team, and we're going to get something good rolling into next year. Yeah.
I think it may, if memory serves me right, it may have been a Ryan Ritter base hit.
Probably. That guy's got all the big RBI base hits.
Yeah. You know what? He's kind of now flown a little bit beneath the radar because he was hurt for a few weeks, but you know what? He's shown he belongs also.
Yeah, no doubt. And it's fun. Like seeing, like, it's fun taking the field with these guys. It really is.
Yeah, good deal. Well, listen, you got work to do. You're heading to the ballpark. You're getting settled. You're going to get out of a hotel. You are getting out of the hotel soon. Is that right?
That's right. Tomorrow morning.
Cherry Creek is where the next destination is.
Cherry Creek. Yeah, and I've got the old man in town to help me carry the heavy stuff because I got to keep the body right. I'll put him to work. It's just like moving into UCLA all over again.
But hey, play that card up a lot. That I do not want to get fatigued for tonight. I don't want to lift something, maybe tweak it back. Put his ass to work.
He's honestly so good about that stuff. He'll know. Like, he would be the guy to get on me for carrying stuff. So he's gonna be working his ass off. I'll make sure of it.
Beautiful. Hey, I'll see you in a little bit, man. Continued success. Congratulations on everything that has transpired thus far. It's been a lot of fun to watch for all of us, and I know I speak for the fans. They want to see you guys win in the worst way, and I think they're putting their arms around this young group that's emerging.
All right, thank you very much. I appreciate the time.
Quick side note and a big thank you, obviously, to Kyle. This is how classy Ryan McMahon is, and I may have made mention to this, but it bears repeating. So when Kyle, who was in spring training, you heard that, with Ryan McMahon, and now Ryan McMahon's with the Yankees, as we all know. Ryan McMahon reached out when Kyle got called up and sent him a congratulatory text and go kick ass kind of text. And then when he got his first hit that first night, he followed up with another text. Gives you an idea of who Ryan McMahon is, and he's still following the Rockies from afar. But this guy has a chance to be a really good player. He's a good two-way player, potentially, in that on-base component. There's going to be pop. He's a big, strong guy. He's 6'5". You can ask when he plays at. My guess is he plays at close to 220. Not just enamored with trying to hit the ball out of the ballpark. If you look at his minor league numbers, it's gap to gap. He's going to be a good hitter. I love what he was saying about the on-base percentage. He'd be a really high on-base percentage guy, and he's got a really good glove. So he's going to be a plus defender. It's a good piece. It's a really good piece, and he's handled. They're guys that become stars. I want to point this out. They're guys that become star major leaguers that stumble initially. Willie Mays, easy one to reference, maybe the greatest player of all time in terms of all-around offensive player. He's in the conversation. When Willie Mays came up, he famously went, 0 for 22, 0 for 25, 0 for 28. I mean, and he basically went to Leo DeRocher and he said, you got to send me back down, where he was hitting 400 plus when he got called up. And Leo DeRocher said, nope. He goes, you're going to be just fine. And, fast forward, sure enough, he was just fine. But a lot of big leaguers who become stars stumble initially, and it takes a while. Maybe they do get sent out. Maybe they get sent out multiple times before they, quote unquote, figure it out and settle in. Well, in the case of Kyle Karros, again, I understand small sample size, but looks like he belongs from Jump Street. Warming Bernabeu looks like he belongs from Jump Street. Before we get on out of here, I want to downshift and go to golf for a moment. So Scottie Scheffler, if you're a sports fan, you caught this. He won the BMW. He was in contention. He was a few strokes down, I think, going to Sunday. And then he did Scottie Scheffler things, including late in the round, chipping in. It was not quite as dramatic a chip as Tiger had many years ago, where the Nike ball sat on the edge of, and first of all, he had to chip it on about 20 feet to the left of the hole because of the contour of the green, and then it rolled to the precipice of the cup, and then showing the Nike logo because Tiger has that huge deal with Nike, and so it had to freeze there for a moment, and then rolled in the cup. Not quite that dramatic, but it was a heck of a chip, and it was on a par 3. Scheffler goes on to win the BMW. He's now won 5 times this year. Every damn week that Scottie Scheffler's playing, he's in contention. Even the greatest golfers in the world, you'll see that, Rory McIlroy will win a tournament, and then maybe the next week he's out of the top 10. He finishes 18th, T18, tied for 18th. He's great. His name more often than not, is going to be on the leaderboard. But right now, in the case of Scottie Scheffler, he's at the top of the leaderboard every week. We have not seen this since Tiger Woods. He's won 5 times now in back-to-back years, Scheffler has, the native Texan. And it is Tiger-esque. I'm not putting him yet in Tiger's category because he's one of one. And it'll probably always be one of one for me, just like Michael Jordan. For all the exploits of LeBron James, Michael Jordan for me is one of one. So I'm not putting him in Tiger's league. I still think back to when Tiger won the U.S. Open, he was minus 12, like he was playing the Greater Hartford Open back in the day. And the rest of the field was well over par. He won that event, if you remember, the U.S. Open by 15 strokes. So second was +3. I forget who the guy was in second that day. I don't know if it was Ernie Els. Somebody said, hey, I won my tournament. I don't know what the hell tournament he was playing. That's a great line. But right now, Scottie Scheffler is the absolute best, and we have not seen this kind of consistent, dominant play since Tiger. And if he's in an event and you're getting to the weekend, especially on Sunday, even if you're just a casual golf fan, you ought to be watching. You ought to be watching because this guy is on some kind of heater, and it's now over a couple of seasons. I'm also glad they changed the BMW format where it's not the carryover where, the play in coming up, which begins in East Lake, everybody starts from some zip, so it's not a fait accompli that the guy who accumulated some distance on the field in the prior events, starts that way. I think that was a good change by the PGA. But I did want to mention what Scottie Scheffler is doing. One other note: big tennis family, big tennis watcher in our house, and I know it was somewhat controversial, but I like that the U.S. Open's doing this where there's mixed doubles and regular doubles a week and a half before the main draw of the U.S. Open in Queens. And the reason is your top players, as things have evolved, the days of John McEnroe when he was playing with Peter Fleming and he played doubles at the majors and probably win most of them because they were the number one doubles team in the world. And then, Johnny Mac would go and play singles and, oftentimes win there as well, or certainly, at the very least be in the semis. A lot of top players aren't playing doubles or playing mixed anymore because it's too much of a demand on their body in a 2-week period to play in really 3 different events or 2 different events. So now they're doing it, a week and a half, 2 weeks earlier. And so I was watching on the tube a little while ago, and you're seeing the biggest names in the sport playing doubles now. And it's great theater. So check it out. All right. Great week for the Colorado Rockies, and it's a lot of fun to be able to talk about them in a positive light, and also talk about seeing guys emerge that are going to be part of the solution. So hopefully it continues. Always great to see the Rockies beat the Dodgers. I'm sure that was fun for all of you. We'll do it again in 7 days, approximately. Take care. Stay well, everybody. Football's around the corner. I bet you didn't know that. See you.